So let's say that you launch a campaign on TikTok and wait 6 to 12 hours and it only spent a couple pennies. Well, this happens quite often, and to be honest, it's quite normal on TikTok to have spending issues when you're first starting out. Now, for the tips in this video, I'm going to assume that you don't have an agency ad account, but if you did want to get one to solve these issues right away, there will be a link to the description in the bio of this video where you can go and apply to get a TikTok agency ad account and pretty much stop all of these spending issues. But like I said, we're pretty much going to assume that you don't have one, and I'm going to be giving you the solutions in this video. So there's really a few things that you can do, and no, I'm not just going to be talking about creating an add to cart campaign or creating a view content campaign. Number one, make sure your ad group, your ad, and your pixel are installed properly. Sometimes spending issues can occur when your ad is not set up properly, if you're doing cost caps, or maybe your ad got disapproved and you just didn't notice. There's many base level reasons why ads could not be spending, and it might not be an issue. It might be a problem with the way that you set it up, or maybe your ad got disapproved. So just double check that everything is set and ready to go before you try any of these other methods for fixing the spending issues, because again, it might not be spending issues and you might have done something wrong. And I do want to say this now before we continue. Every single time I make a video about Facebook bans or TikTok bans or spending issues, there's always a ton of spam comments and bots that come into my comment section saying like, check out this bot or check out this software or this app or DM me. I don't endorse any of those, so just be very, very careful in the comment section of this video. Just wanted to warn you guys just in case it happens again. Now, one of the first things that I do when I encounter spend issues on TikTok is I literally just let the campaign run for 2 to 3 days. It's perfectly normal for TikTok to have weird spending on a new ad account or a new pixel if you're launching a new test campaign, to just have weird spending. Like sometimes it just doesn't want to spend right away, or you might have splurging, which we'll talk about towards the end of this video. Don't worry about it. Let it ride out. Just let it run until it does spend. Usually what I'll see is if it doesn't spend the full budget on day one, maybe it'll spend $1. Like usually it'll spend like somewhere between 50 cents and a few dollars, depending on how much budget you have towards it. And then on day 2 and day 3, it'll actually go through and spend normally. And this is what happens 99.9% of the time. So for most of you, literally just letting your campaign run and not touching it, it's going to solve the problem. Now, sadly, I do not know a way around this or a way that you could avoid this for future ad accounts or future campaigns that you launch. You pretty much just have to deal with it. But the good news is, usually in my experience, it only happens for like the first 1 or 2 campaigns whenever you create a new pixel or a new ad account. So you don't have to deal with this forever. And most of the times when I start a new ad account and launch a new product test, even if there's spending issues, if I let it run for 2 to 3 days, it won't happen on the next test that I run or the next campaign that I create. So from that point, you can either just move on to a different product or keep on testing new products or a new campaign. Just let it ride out and let it spend. Usually after a couple campaigns, this will stop happening and your ads will start spending normally again. And honestly, once a campaign spends normally in an ad account, very, very rarely do I actually see spending issues happening for like a second time or down the road spending issues coming out of nowhere. As long as you're not making new pixels all the time, then once your ad account starts spending normally, you shouldn't have to deal with those problems again. Now, if you let the campaign run for 2 to 3 days and you do that for 2 to 3 products and you're still having spend issues on everything that you launch, I would say that there's probably a problem with either your pixel or your ad account. So from this point, I would probably just ditch the current pixel that you have, start a new pixel, launch another test campaign, see if the spending issue occurs. If it does, then you're going to want to let it run for 2 to 3 days and then do another campaign, let that run for 2 to 3 days, and basically just repeat the process again. And after that, if you're still having issues, then I would 100% recommend just scrapping the entire ad account and starting fresh on a new ad account. Now, to bring things even deeper, because I have been down this rabbit hole before and I know how frustrating it is if you just can't get your ads to spend properly. If you do run 2 to 3 product tests on a single pixel and then you switch pixels, if you switch pixels 2 to 3 times and then you switch ad accounts 2 to 3 times and you're still not getting your ads to spend, so by now you've ran like 10 different campaigns, 3 different pixels, 2 different ad accounts, like you're just absolutely drained, I would 100% recommend at this stage, just for the sake of convenience, to consider investing into an agency ad account, because out of the hundreds of agency ad accounts that I've tested products on, I've maybe occurred spending issues in one or two of them. And oftentimes when I did, it was usually to something due like an ad disapprovement or a penalty or something along the lines that we did wrong, and not an actual deliverability issue on TikTok side. So what I would say is, if you go through all the bullshit that I just talked about and you're still not able to get your ads to spend, just make the investment, because the amount of time that you're going to spend trying to figure this out is not going to be worth it versus just getting an agency ad account. Now, having your TikTok ads not spend is quite frustrating, but something that is a little bit more frustrating that also happens, and I want to give you guys a solution to this as well, is spend splurging. This is something that I've been experiencing recently, and it's something that happened, I don't know, maybe a year ago with TikTok ads. It was very, very common for this to happen, and then it went away, and now it's starting to come back again a little bit. It's basically where TikTok doesn't really spend much of your budget for certain hours of the day, and then during 1 hour period or some, random time frame, it'll just blow your entire budget, and it's super annoying because usually the metrics aren't very good. Usually, even if it's a winning product, you're not going to make sales because it spends all the budget in a 1 hour window. In my opinion, whenever this happens, TikTok should take the liberty in refunding you your money that they splurge overnight. Usually it happens when you're sleeping too. That makes it even worse. But obviously this happens. And when this does happen, there's really only one thing that you can do. If it only happens once on one campaign, I wouldn't really sweat it. It's annoying. It's just one of the nuances that you have to deal with when you're running TikTok ads. However, if it's happening on multiple campaigns in a row or multiple product tests in a row, I want you to do the same exact thing that we did by switching pixels and switching ad accounts. You have to treat these things like commodities, and some of them are good and some of them are just trash. I don't know the best way to explain it to you, but some TikTok ad accounts just won't spend, and some TikTok ad accounts will have spend splurging. There's no way to explain it, but what I would say is, like, if you have a pattern of 2 to 3 situations where you're noticing spend splurging, just scrap the whole pixel or scrap the whole ad account and move on to a different account. Stop wasting your time on an account that's not giving you good deliverability. So basically, to recap, the number one thing that you should do if you encounter spend issues is check your ad groups, check your ads, make sure that your pixel is installed correctly, make sure that you did everything correct on your end. If you did, then the next thing that you should do is just let the campaign ride out and let it spend the full budget, even if it takes 2 to 3 days. The next thing that you should do once you do that is just launch another campaign test or launch another product test. See if the issue persists. If it doesn't, then you're fine. If it does, test 2 to 3 different campaigns, 2 to 3 different tests. If it's still not working out, then go ahead and just whip together a new pixel, rerun the test, see if you're still having spending issues. If you are, then ditch the ad account entirely and go to a new ad account. And then obviously, if you're seeing spending issues on multiple pixels, multiple ad accounts, then you're probably just going to want to make the investment into an agency account, because as annoying as it is, some people just don't have good luck when it comes to making ad accounts and pixels and stuff like that. And I do think that the very small investment that you can make to get an ad account is worth saving the headache of dealing with TikTok's bullshit, especially when it gets so bad to a point where you're literally spending half of your time just creating new ad accounts. And then pretty much just follow all those same rules for spend splurging. That's all, guys. See you guys later. Peace.